You're listening to World of Empowerment Radio, your station for practical spirituality in a changing world. And here are your hosts, Aingeal Rose and Ahonu.
Welcome back, everyone, to our show this week. It is myself, Aingeal Rose, and my lovely Ahonu, and our special guest, once again, Peggy Rubin, who is just a plethora, and she beams joy. I have to say, last week we were talking about the subject of joy and how to achieve it, and we're going to continue on this week because there's just some interviews, Ahonu, that you just can't leave for 1 week. In fact, some of them have to continue 2 or 3 times, and this is one of those. This is so powerfully packed with joyful experiences, even in the little bit we experienced last week. You know, your face was beet red when she was telling you how wonderful your voice was.
I know.
I felt like a little child who just joy. Delighted my mother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
and I could actually feel it coming in, just like you said as well. So I want to continue, Peg, with that this week because you talked about joy being a practice and something that we do daily. And you've created a calendar
based on
that process. Is that correct? So could you tell us about that and what happens in it?
So okay. you want more about the calendar?
Yeah, we'll show people the calendar. Here it is.
Yes.
And we will have to tell them where they can get it afterwards.
Right.
Okay, but go ahead. What made you do this?
Again, it was a gift of the great divine feminine being that I serve, because I was doing a workshop in sacred theater and we were talking about the pathway, and then it was what sometimes is called a download, and she said, it's a calendar. The voice in my head, woo-woo, said you can do it as a calendar, and I thought, all right, how do I do that? And she said there are 9 months according to the 9 steps along the path, the 9 aspects of the Great Lotus Path, which is joy. And so you have 9 months, 1 month for each of those steps. And then you divide the month, it's 40 days, and you divide the month into 4 weeks, 10 days each. Isn't that a nice, sweet week?
Yes.
And each week is sort of, you look for joy, the presence of joy, for example, which is one of the steps, in the earth, in the water. Each week is sort of dedicated to that. So it's a day-by-day awareness practice. And what's lovely is that a group of people started doing this, I think it's 7 years ago now. Every morning at 9 o'clock, there is a phone call of the poets. And there is their poetry that's in this calendar. And also the lady who did the art for each of the months wrote something that the being in the art says. So that's also in there. But it's a perennial calendar, so you get it all the time. Okay, so it's 9 months, 40 days per month, 10 days, 4 weeks, 10 days each, and then that leaves you with 5 days at the end of the year. So on January the 27th, now this I robbed off from the Egyptians because they had the same thing. And on there are the days, I think it's July, where they're holy days, the intercalary days, where there are the 5 gods are born. The 5, Isis, Osiris, Nephthys, Seth, and the other elder Horus are all born on that day. So I thought, okay, the end of the year, starting on December 27th, we will have 5 holy days where the gods of joy are born and reborn every year. Wow. So there are 5 days dedicated to them and to what they bring to the world. So,
wow.
And the nice thing is, she said, okay, it's your hand. The first day, the 27th of December, is the gods of joyful humanity. What makes it wonderful to be human? So we use this opposable thumb. The second is the gods of joyful direction. So you got the pointer finger. This one is the fire finger, the passion finger. So the gods that give us passion. This is the beauty finger. So the gods that give us beauty. And then this is the gods of spirit. So they're born and reborn every end of the year. We have a wonderful time with it. So
I love it.
You've made it into such a light and airy presentation. and I'm sure, relatively speaking, inexpensive too, so that it's accessible to people.
Yeah.
And make it easy to use on a day-by-day basis.
Right. I have a friend who writes in a word about joy on every one, and she's done it for 3 years now, so she's got little pieces of each one. But
that's amazing.
Anyway,
so can you read something out of there? Huh?
I don't have my glasses, but maybe
I don't either.
Whose glasses are these? Going once, going
they're
twice.
Pegs.
They're mine,
look, they're
they're my glasses. My reading glasses. Well, let's see. Today, what day are we doing this? We don't know what day it is. July?
It's July. What's the date today, Ahonu? That's terrible that we can't remember what day it is.
Yesterday was the 4th of July.
So it's the 5th.
Big celebrations all
July
around
5th
in
today,
the United
then.
States.
All right. So we are now in the month of joyful presence. And the way we notice that is it was a great acting teacher by the name of Michael Chekhov. And he said, if you're playing a role that's too big for you, imagine a being right next to you who's able to do it, like King Lear. King Lear is too big for any actor to really pull off. So just imagine King Lear right next to you, and he's the one doing the role, and you're just sort of with him. Or if you're trying to do comedy and you're feeling a little heavy, then you imagine all these sort of elfin creatures around you bouncing, and so your steps get lighter, your heart gets lighter, because they're all around you doing bubbly things, and you're playing bubbly joy. So that's a joyful presence. So you imagine a being of great joy, and that being of great joy is around you, even when you're in pain and suffering. That being exists, and she's there, or he's there, to just steady the thing. Okay, I know this tooth is aching, something fierce, and joy exists, and joy is present. No matter what else is happening, joy is. Because we don't want to be foolish about it and say, I know you're in agony, but you really ought to be joyful.
Yes.
You can't do that.
I'm not going to go to the
Nobody
hospital
does that. You
because
lose your
joy
friends that way.
exists.
But if a friend is in deep pain, or you're in deep pain, it is helpful to remember that joy is. It just simply is. And just if you have a sense of a joyful presence near you or with you, even though, and I believe it lessens the pain if you're having a heartache, and we'll set up, there's a whole, one of the steps is called joyful transformation, where you are able to transform even the most painful thing ultimately into love, or into praise, or into gratitude. So there's movement. You're not trying to ignore. You don't ignore pain. I think it's Milton Erickson who said we're gonna have plenty of pain in our lives. It's up to us to create joy, and that's what we're doing with this.
Well, I like what you just said too about moving it.
Yeah,
because
good point. Yeah,
because it is a problem when people suppress, and it doesn't get moved, and it sticks in the body, and then it causes all sorts of other problems.
Right.
But I like the idea of movement because it's connected with constant flow.
Yeah.
You're just in the flow of the divine at that point.
And joy is this glorious river.
Yeah.
This ever-flowing fountain, however you want to sense it.
I like that phrase. I can picture that, can't you? That ever-flowing fountain.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Now we did promise. You're not finished that one.
Oh, well, never mind.
Never mind. Let's see.
Let's see what the wonderful artist who did the month of July. The month from June the 10th to July 19th is the month for joyful presence.
Okay.
And the person that my friend Patty Kaufman, who painted this glorious image, is called the Dreamcatcher. And this is what Patty wrote about it. What if your sleep dreams are your true reality and wake time is just an illusion? If so, would you want to sleep more or breathe in all the wake time possible? Yeah. What choices would you make even if you knew your dream memories were hidden in the sunlight? I am the dream watcher, and I protect your sacred dream life. I walk in a world of holistic gravity with invisible limitations and mythical magic. My existence is known only to a spiritual world of believers who learn from their dream life. Perhaps the idea of two lives gives new meaning to being in the moment. Perhaps there is no choice you must make. So it's about the playful presence of the dream world around you, even in no matter what else is going on.
Yeah.
So that
So
was
you would read that poem in the morning.
Well, you don't have to, because
Don't have
that's when the month
The
begins.
beginning of the month.
I
It's
got
the beginning of the month.
Okay.
Then one of the beautiful poets who are part of that daily group.
Yeah.
One of them was wise and selected these. So for the first week of that month of presence is the week one, celebrating the presence of joy on earth and in earthly delights. And then there's a poem by one of the poems, but that's just for the week. So you can read it every day or not at all. But what you're doing on the 10th of June is being aware of something in the earth that gave you joy. Just
Right.
the leaf shining in the sun or something like that.
Right.
So that's how it works as a practice also.
I love it.
And
I love it. Don't you?
I think
and
it's-
we're moving toward July 20th, which is the next month, which is called Joyful Dedication.
Okay.
And on that one is to follow the path. I mean, just to stay on it as easily and pleasantly and playfully as you can. Just hang on the path of joy. Stay on it. Stay on it. Stay on it. And I love William Stafford's beautiful poem about there is a thread you follow.
Mm-hmm.
Everything changes. Everything changes, but you never let go of that thread. And for me, the request is that people make that thread some element of happiness, some element even of joy. That they stay true to that path, because I believe that it lifts the pain of the world, and we've got enough of that. We need to do something that lifts it. So that's kind of what the whole work of joy is to lift or transmute or transform the pain of the world.
Yes.
It doesn't deny it, doesn't try to pretend it isn't existing, any of that. But there is also another very powerful element moving, and we can strengthen it.
That's right.
And we can pierce the veils of sorrow and pain by joy and light and happiness. So
And what have you seen as the effects on people who do this practice?
well, as I say, there's this whole group of poets who meet every morning at 9:00, and they have a poem that they have chosen. Each person takes a week, and they've chosen a poem that seems to fit the week of joyful presence in fire and fiery things. Okay. So they will write, put up a Pablo Neruda poem about the fire or something like that. Then that they will read the poems, and others will speak of what that has meant to them and how it makes sense to them. And if they have written poems, they will share the poems they've written from it. So
I'm seeing a huge growth of awareness, because what you're talking about is really becoming mindful and being aware of the growth of awareness of how amazing everything really is, that we can gloss over so easily and take for granted.
Well, and not even notice.
Not even notice.
Just so busy with artificial things.
or doing your life, which takes a huge amount of energy and a huge amount of attention. But there's also this presence and this capacity to hold with it. Right. And then there's another step that's called joyful remembrance, and that's just remembering the people who've given you joy, remembering events that have given you.
Now, is that the step? I just want to connect the dots.
Remembrance.
So last week when we talked about this, we covered the first two.
The first one was sourcing, beliefs, awareness, acceptance and acknowledgement. So we did the fourth one. Yeah. The fifth is presence.
Okay.
The sixth is dedication.
Right.
The seventh is remembrance, joyful remembrance. The sixth is, and I'm switching it in the book so it's different, but is joyful transformation. Paying attention to the fact that pomegranate blossom will become a pomegranate. And honoring that, and yet that beautiful red blossom's gone, but still there's something else forming. So you trust that about your own self and your own being. And the last one is joyful service and sharing. So it's a year-long practice, and it gives great pleasure if people are willing to hang with it.
Absolutely, it sounds like it gives great pleasure. It brings me back to also when I was making my fairies. For years I made fairy dolls. In fact, the fairies asked me would I start making these dolls, and I did. What I would do was I'd go to Goodwill or somewhere, and I'd I just buy dolls people were throwing away or getting rid of, and I strip them naked and I reinvent them as a fairy.
How beautiful! What
Yeah.
that gives me great
Amazing,
joy.
Yeah. Me too.
And, I used to bring them to these psychic fairs in Ireland, and ironically, it was the men
That was the
were the ones that
strangest
stopped
thing.
the most and just commented on how beautiful they were. Women too, but a lot of men.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's very interesting that these men are just noticing.
The Irish men. They're this close to that other realm, and they know that other realm.
Yeah.
So, it makes sense to me. They would love it.
And then I stopped for a while last year. Then I didn't make it for a while, and we moved out of our homes. We sold a lot of things, and I did let go of some fairy things, but I have lots more.
All right. So they will come back.
They'll come back.
Well, the fairy world is so filled with joy. And lightness and blessing. They just pour blessings on us.
Do you think there's a connection there with mischievousness? When you talk about joy, that like even a child who might be in great joy, and they might consider that, I'll play a trick, or I'll fool somebody, or make them laugh, or something.
Yeah, right.
Is there an element of that? Do you think?
I hadn't thought of that. Thank you for helping me think of that. I think. It's more like play. There's play in it, and lightheartedness.
Yes, nothing malicious at all.
Well, mischievous isn't necessary.
No, I know. I'm just trying to see is there
just an okay.
Yeah.
I would so we could do it this way. Okay, I am accepting with great delight the thought of mischief. And some of the mischief. I'm drinking in mischief, or the idea of mischievousness.
Yes.
And then I'm acknowledging, thank you very much for giving me that, because it gave me a little, like a nice tart, lemony taste to the whole. In case this is over sweet, we want to add a little here to it. Yeah. I myself believe it's deeply grounding and deeply rich enough. Yes. But the idea of mischief has its own joy. So thank you for that.
I want to. It leads me to ask.
He did not accept it.
No, I did. I do. I completely and totally accept that. I would love for anybody who's listening or watching to be able to even imbibe a little bit of the joy that is pouring out of you.
Yeah,
I feel it so alive, and it's magic. It's fabulous. But I don't want to go negative with this, but I do need to ask this question. And I think I may be asking it on behalf of other people, because we've had an experience in our lives, Aingeal Rose and I, where there's somebody close to us who was it in a dream?
I don't know what you're going to talk about.
Yeah, it might have been in a dream where Aingeal Rose wanted to give love to this person.
Oh yeah,
yes.
About that.
And he said, "Don't give me so much love or joy. I can't handle it."
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really important thing, and that's why I'm going to go back to the point that you don't ever insist on somebody else knowing that there's joy in the world and they should be feeling it. You should. I know you're crying over your dead child right now, but you should really remember joy. But that would be deadly and cruel and stupid and wrong in every possible way.
Right.
And so, what it's that double vision piece again, that where you're totally with somebody in suffering and in their sorrow. And the most love you can give is simply to surround it at a safe distance with love. And while you're watching someone mourning over a child, you're holding that deep suffering with every piece of love you've got, and remembering how beautiful the child was. And how much joy that child brought to the world, no matter what the conditions might have been. Right. So you have a dual vision, and you don't let go of either one, but you also don't afflict somebody with your. Yes. That's why I don't do la di da di da di. Be happy.
Yeah.
It's more once joy is established, you know how to play it, and as I understand it, this appeared in a dream that was a wise male figure inside of you saying, be careful how you bestow that love. I mean, make sure that it's not in a place that sets them off in fear and I think also there's a huge thing between men and women. Very often men feel subsumed by women's love or something,
Too much.
Yeah, it's too much. Because if women gave everything they have to give, the world would fall apart. I mean, from it just. I think somebody actually said that. Some great poet said that. But, So we need to calibrate it. We need to be skillful about that. As long it's like all other skillful means. We do, and we make mistakes joyfully, and we do our best to ameliorate or make amends or whatever if we make mistakes about it. But
I would imagine too that just this practice alone, just an individual doing this practice, would just emit so much joy that it would just cause, miracles to happen without you even having any idea or knowing it. The effect of that, to me, in my mind, would just be some sort of spontaneous event for somebody. Could even just be a positive thought for a second.
Right.
Or
they'll catch it. They'll catch something.
That's right. Yeah. Or they stop off and buy me a piece of cake.
Gee, somebody must have done
Ladies and gentlemen, on that note.
No. But I mean, it's just all the little things that give you delight, in the world, But I would imagine it would be transforming in and of itself, because you certainly are, Peg. You certainly are, because you emanate love and joy in such a huge way that I just love being around you. I do. I just good, we get to see Peggy.
Look at her accepting it. Look at her drinking it.
It's true. It's true. And you know what else I feel about you is there's just no judgment in you. I don't feel about anything. It's just, you're just pure love and joy. And I so appreciate it because, because I'm very aware of, the whole judgment process and what it does to people. So I would imagine even doing this, that just kind of disappears out the window is what my mind would be, because I do notice too, when I kind of shift in my consciousness and all of a sudden, I never really noticed that scent in the air or that scent in a particular piece of food that suddenly tastes like flowers, and I've been eating it forever. Right. Now it tastes like flowers. I can imagine that, you start to really get super sensitive to all sorts of beautiful things that you never saw before or felt before or tasted before. So,
that's the
you just emanate that. And I'm just delighted to be here with you today talking about this.
Okay, so let us...
What do you mean, okay?
Let us give our listeners...
I accept it. And acknowledge I'm very grateful to you. You've given me great joy. To have that joy, to reflect that joy to me. It gives me great joy. So thank you. So then you get to accept that part.
I do accept that. Okay, we could be here for forever.
Let's give this joy to our listeners and our viewers, because this is what I believe our world service is. A mechanism or a means by which other people can find joy, and they can find it through your work. So let's give people how to contact you if you want them to.
Or how can they get Peg's calendar?
On my website.
On your website, yeah.
PeggyRubin.com.
Peggy Rubin.
So how do you spell Rubin?
Rubin.
PeggyRubin.com.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Fantastic.
And this is the calendar. It's called the Ladies' Year. Oh, really? The Ladies' Year for Joy. I guess men don't get it.
Yeah. Men don't get one.
No, it is
the Ladies' Year for Joy.
It's a gift of the great goddess. That's why I call it that. So,
and also, there's a book coming sometime in time and space. Do you have a title for that yet?
I think it's called The Path for Joy.
The Path for Joy. But you certainly be notified when that comes around.
Watch out. If you want joy in your life, get hold of this lady. That's all I've got to say. I want to thank you so much
for you. It's been a great joy.
You've given us great joy. You really have.
I always say when things are really awesome, they feel like Christmas to me.
Yes.
What a sweet
and I say it feels like Christmas. And being here in Ashland, the whole experience has felt like Christmas. In fact, I get flashes of Christmas trees.
Yes, right. You've said that several times.
Very lovely place at Christmas time. So
I imagine.
You'll have to come back. You'll have to come back.
We will.
I hope
All right.
Will.
Thank you so much. Until next time, from myself, Ahonu, and from Aingeal Rose. Bye-bye.
You have been listening to Aingeal Rose and Ahonu on World of Empowerment Radio, your station for practical spirituality in a changing world.